What is clairaudience? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. I'm Licia Morelli and I'm from The Nocturne, and you can see more at fromthenocturne.com. So what is clairaudience? Clairaudience is the psychic gift of hearing. It is the ability to hear things and know them to be true. So the way that I have always talked about clairaudience, and this might be aging me a little bit, but the way that I talk about clairaudience is from the movie Ghost. So if you've seen the movie Ghost and you've seen Whoopi Goldberg's character, she is clairaudient. So she'll be walking around and she can hear Patrick Swayze's voice in her ear. That is clairaudience. So clairaudience is the ability to hear voices, sounds, or messages intuitively. When your guides and spirits and deities and helpers all want you to know something, they are allowing you to hear it. So this could be a single word or phrase like believe or go for it or yes, right? It could be as simple as that. Or it could be a story-like message where you could hear in your ear, Cindy is hoping to connect, call her, right? Or you just hear, call Cindy, right? These are little messages that you could get clairaudiently to help you on your psychic path. So you also, a third way of getting a clairaudient message would be hearing a dog barking or coughing or laughter, right? So you know that, oh, something exciting might come in. There will be times that sounds come in or voices or phrases or messages, and it will be so clear that you think that everyone can hear it. So don't be surprised if something happens where you hear that message, Cindy wants you to call her, and you look around and think, did anybody else hear that? Nope. You are just tapping into your clairaudience. Have no fear. One way that I can describe a personal experience with clairaudience is sometimes when I am asleep in our house, which is an old farmhouse, I will hear a girl's voice say, Mom, and I will wake right up. Now, days past, that might have freaked me out. I might have been a little scared, but I know now, working with clairaudience and having worked with clairaudience for years and years and years, that that is just the way that this entity needs to communicate with me, right? So if you go back to the clairvoyant video that came out prior to this, we talk about dreams and how dreams are the thinnest veil between us and the ethereal realm. So a lot of messages come when we're sleeping and we're dreaming. So be sure to check out that video if you want to know more about that. So another time that clairaudient came into the picture for me was when I was giving a reading to a client, and all of a sudden we were in the reading and I heard a baby crying. Well, of course, there's no baby here. I am past my prime on the baby factory. My kids are growing up, right? But the baby was crying and I could hear it vividly. And to that end, I interpreted that she was either pregnant or she just had a baby. And so what I said to her was, okay, so I hear a baby crying. So this either means that you are pregnant or you're about to get pregnant or you just had a baby. And she was like, oh my God, I just found out yesterday that I am actually pregnant. So this reading is well timed because I want to know more about that. So it was very exciting. It was very fun. And there was a lot of like buoyancy and joy in that moment. But it started with the crying baby. So now that we know what clairaudience is, and it's the psychic gift of hearing, here is a practice that you can do to find out if you are in fact clairaudient. So the first thing I want you to do is after you watch this video, I want you to find a quiet place and minimize all distractions. Then slowly sit and take a few breaths and calm your system, right? Just come into a relaxed space so that you can do this in a way that's relaxed. So breathe in and out for a few moments. And then what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and imagine a radio. And it could be the crackling sound of a radio, especially if you're clairaudient. You might not get the visual images right away. Like that's the clairvoyant part of people. But if I say imagine a radio, you might hear the crackling sound of a radio, or you might hear somebody tuning a radio, right? So you're hearing the radio. And then you want to go from that static sound to clarity. So notice when the static goes to clarity, and it might be quiet for a moment, but then you might ask, what is it that I need to know? And you might hear a message come through. So it could be, again, a word, a phrase, a song, or a random sound. Something you should know is that I get so many messages through songs these days. So if I need to know something, my clairaudience will play a song in my mind, and then I have to go look at those lyrics and figure out what the message actually means. Sometimes it's a little tricky, but it is definitely helpful. So as you get these audio information, like as you get this information, consider what the word, sound, or phrase or song might mean to you personally. So again, go back to the clairvoyant video where we talk about symbols and meanings for interpretation. So for example, if you get a song and you have a very vivid memory or meaning that goes with that song, that is likely the message that's coming through clairaudiently. So for example, I danced with my dad to the song My Girl at my wedding. So if I hear the song My Girl while I'm talking to a client or I'm working with my intuition, that means somebody's father, there's a connection to somebody's father. There's also a connection to love. There's also a connection to maybe a wedding, right? So I interpret it based on what that information means to me in my waking life. And often, especially with clairaudience, clairsentience, and clairvoyance, when we get information that relates to our own life, it usually means that it is going to relate to the person we're talking to life as well. So half the time if I say like, oh, I just heard the song My Girl, that means that, I have a huge memory of my dad and I at my wedding. That's going to connect to the person, and they're going to say, oh my God, that was my dad's favorite song, or oh my God, I always think of my dad when I hear that, right? So you will find the more you practice your clairaudience and express what you're hearing, the connections to the symbols as your own language. Just remember, as you're getting this clairaudient information, trust what you hear. Write it down. Even if the message seems odd at first, you have no idea how many times I've been talking to people and I am like, there is no way I'm going to say like this thing came to me. And then I'm like, whatever, I'm going to say it. And then it's something kind of wacky. And they're like, oh, well, actually, this is what that means, right? And so trust what you're hearing. The ego is always going to try to interpret for you. We don't want that. It's simply symbol and expression of symbol, or hearing and expression of hearing. So just make sure when you're hearing things, just know that keeping a journal and looking at everything and thinking about what they mean to you and starting to interpret that is going to help you with your clairaudience and understand what your clairaudient messages are giving to you. Another fun tip about clairaudience is people who startle easily or don't love noisy sounds or kind of just get overstimulated when there's a lot of noise. You could indicate from this that you are clairaudient, just because sound is such a big part of your life that you'll want to make sure that if that is something that you're hearing and it startles you or it's too much for you, that could be an indicator that the radio waves are the way you are hearing your psychic information. All right, so today we talked about what is clairaudience, how to tell if you're clairaudience through the radio exercise, and also ways in which you can strengthen your clairaudience abilities. So what I want to know from you, please share any clairaudient experiences or sounds that you've gotten as a clairaudient experience in the comments below. I love hearing people's experiences. I love your questions, and I love knowing what your biggest takeaways were and how this is helpful. So please, please, definitely do that. Also, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss anything and you don't miss any of the instructional videos that come in. Also, the monthly horoscopes for the full moon and the new moon. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Licia Morelli. Check out the website at fromthenocturne.com, and I will see you again soon in the videos.